A very good morning to you, our viewers. This is the Camnet breakfast. We apologize for starting a bit late. However, we are here with a jam-packed show. We will be zooming into some of the stories that are making headlines. And of course, you are aware that the country is mourning our fourth Republican President, Rupiah Banda, and therefore, you are allowed to call in and send that message of condolence to the family of Rupiah Banda and, of course, the Zambian people. I'm on set as usual with Patrick Soko. Today we are focusing on policy and politics, and we'll be looking at what Rupiah Banda's legacy with regards to policy is concerned. He made quite a lot of significant changes, and during his reign, that's when we saw a lot of China's investment. Up until today, we still have a lot of people coming into the country investing from the Chinese community. Patrick, good morning.
Good morning, Sharon. Well, we were elaborated there. On terms of Mr. Rupiah Banda. I didn't know you actually know him that well.
I'm a journalist.
Oh, really?
I may not have been
you were a tourist.
Or a terrorist.
Yeah.
One of my former bosses at some institution I worked for as a journalist, you know, when you murder a story, you don't do it as expected. He would actually say, are you a terrorist or a journalist? You know.
I was going to say we have terrorists here who made a story.
I think we don't. Let's pray we don't.
That's good. That's good. Well, in case you're just joining us, you are watching the Camnet Breakfast Wednesday edition, where we focus on governance and politics. And we are just going to go straight into our first segment we call Morning Boost, so that we can get flexing our muscles with Isaac Matsa.
All right.
Camnet viewers, and welcome to our morning boost. I am Isaac Matsa, your presenter, and I'm here so that we can exercise together so that you stay fit. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is a warm-up, and then I'm going to lead into a few exercises. Let's go. We'll do a warm-up, and then we're going to do a workout. Start trotting now. Watch me. Let's go. Alright, let's go. Let's do a warm-up. We'll do this for 1 minute, and after that we're going to do something else. Keep doing it, and you can kick. Let's kick and jump now. All right, so we're gonna do the first workout now. Very easy, and this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna do the lateral legs. This you do again for 1 minute. Let's go. Make sure that your leg goes high and straight. If you can't balance, you can hold to something. Keep going. This is very good for your legs. And I'm working on the fats here, the love handles as they call them. Let's push just 1 minute of this workout. For now, our focus is to raise your fitness level. Once we have done that, then we start doing different types of workouts. Go! We'll do this for 1 minute. Keep going. Push. You're almost there. You may feel your legs tough. Last one. Great. Next one now. Same like the one we did for a warm-up. Okay. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go. Let's go. After 30 seconds, you do a kick now. Let's go. Let's do some kicks now. Keep doing that. The whole point is to raise your fitness level. Almost done. After that, you're gonna change. Okay. 1, 2, 1. Another minute of punches, same style. When your fitness level is okay, then we go into workouts now. Stay at it. One minute. Let's go. You can do this before you have your breakfast and your shower. After that, you're ready for your day. Let's boost your morning. Go. Let's go. Before you go to school, before you go to the market, before you work, before you do anything, there you go. Let's go. A minute each. Can you hear me, Team Camnet? Woo. Almost there, and I'm gonna change. And I go. It's a low punch now. Let's go. Another minute. Non-stop, no break. You can see me. I don't have a break. One each. And we're almost done with our workout. Let's go. Go. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Low punch. You're feeling pressure on your thighs or your punches as well. Let's go. Let's go, Team Camnet. Good morning. Good morning. Wherever you're watching us from, you're done. And a cool down. Woo. Good morning, Team Camnet. Let's do a cool down now. Let's go. You are done for today. Or it is a 5 minutes workout. And that's it. 1 minute of a cool down. Let's go. A bit of a step. Bit of a step. And matching. Matching. Match. Match, 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 match. All right. That's it for today. I hope you have done this. Try this anytime and you're gonna be fine. I'll see you again. My name is Isaac Matsa. Don't forget to tune in.
Welcome back. There you have it. That's our interesting segment, our morning boost there. We never disappoint on that segment, and it is important, especially this time around when we're having the COVID-19 pandemic, to exercise so that you get to be physically fit, to avoid certain diseases like flu, which are affecting people like Shalon Karimbola. We need to always exercise, and I've been talking about that on several occasions.
No, but the fact that you exercise doesn't mean that you never get a flu.
Usually tries to avoid that conversation. I've spoken time and again. You have to join Isaac Matsa there on the set so that you can exercise alone. But all those calls have fallen on deaf ears.
Leadership, I have to follow you. Have you ever done it?
But I thought I have to follow you.
No, you are the leader here. Can you take our rightful positions? But anyways, exercise is very important, and that's the more reason why we start with it, so that we help ourselves keep fit at least for 5 minutes every day in the morning. It's a very short daily routine that each one of us needs to adopt and ensure that we just keep our muscles flexed as we go about our day-to-day businesses. However, just now we go straight into the segment that talks about health. Patrick, what do we have?
go within our health segment with the Medical Women Association of Zambia, who continue to bring us these interesting issues pertaining to various medical conditions. And even today, we are going to just go straight into that clip so that we can get informed on important matters pertaining to health.
Let's look at it.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Ikonga from University Teaching Hospital, Department of Internal Medicine. I'm also a member of the Medical Women's Association of Zambia. And so on 10th March 2022, we were celebrating World Kidney Day. So we looked at a number of issues pertaining to kidneys. We have discussed on the various kidney functions, on how they help to eliminate waste products from the blood. We've also looked at how the kidneys help in regulating blood pressure, and how they help in salt and water balance in the body, red blood cell production. And then we also looked at the various substances that can cause harm to the kidneys, over-the-counter medication, eating unprocessed foods regularly, uncontrolled hypertension, uncontrolled diabetes, obesity, and so on and so forth. So today we're going to be discussing on the common kidney diseases. But before I go into that, you may be asking, how does someone know that they have kidney failure? Okay, so when we look at the symptoms and signs of kidney failure, most importantly the symptoms, they're quite vague. We can't really pinpoint to say, oh, I've seen these symptoms, so it's probably because of the kidneys. You know, they're quite vague. Okay, so symptoms include insomnia, you know, failing to sleep. So when someone is failing to sleep, we can't really pinpoint to say, oh, I think it's coming from the kidneys. You know, they're quite vague. The other symptom we get is tiredness, loss of appetite, nausea, vomiting, and so on and so forth. Maybe muscle cramps. So, you know, if you find that you're running around, you're jogging, and then you get muscle cramps, it's normal. But we won't say, oh, that's because of the kidneys. So the symptoms are quite vague, but it could also mean that you're dealing with kidney failure. So the two common causes of the kidney failure is divided into one that has happened just now, which is acute, and one that becomes chronic. Okay. So what I mean by acute is that the problem has happened just now and it can be reversed by different modalities, okay? So amongst the causes of kidney failure, the one which is acute, is infectious causes. For example, malaria. Malaria becomes severe, you know, and it affects so many systems in the body, including the kidneys. So it can cause damage to the kidneys. Apart from that, we mentioned over-the-counter medications. And so usually when we look at acute kidney injury, if you remove that offending agent, then you're able to reverse the process. The kidneys, it's possible for them to fully recover. So you may be asking on, you know, one of the common questions that is asked is on how is it possible, have both kidneys been affected or just one kidney? So for you to have presented to the hospital with tiredness, nausea, vomiting, and if this is coming from the kidney, it means both kidneys have been affected, okay? It means 80 to 90% of the kidney function is lost, because if it was just one kidney, you would not have presented that way. So if you find yourself, if you are found to have severe malaria, we give medication for that. When the malaria clears from the body, even the kidneys are going to recover. If you are taking too much over-the-counter medications which have ended up causing damage to the kidneys, if we stop taking those over-the-counter medications, you find the process will be reversed, okay? So basically, when we have an acute kidney injury, the main point is that it's reversible for so long as you remove that offending agent. But there are unfortunate times that it spills over, okay? It becomes chronic after a certain amount of time, and this comes with its own issues, okay? So when it becomes chronic, it's now what we call chronic kidney disease, which is abbreviated as CKD. So remember I mentioned on the functions of the kidneys, how they help in red blood cell production, minerals, regulating the blood pressure. And so there are times that when you spill over into chronic kidney disease, the blood pressure becomes uncontrolled, okay? So for so long as you've not sorted out that kidney problem, you find the medication that you're taking, you've tried diet, you've tried exercising, but these blood pressures are not coming down. They can even be as high as 200, you know, very high, because there's something wrong with the kidneys. So usually people with chronic kidney disease, you find their blood pressures are not controlled. The other issue is, remember I mentioned that it helps in red blood cell production, okay? So you find they have anemias. They try this medication, they try blood transfusion, they try being admitted so many times in the hospital because of anemia, not knowing that there's actually a problem with the kidneys because that function is lost, okay? As well as when it comes to salt and water regulation in the body, remember I mentioned that if you're too dehydrated, the kidneys are going to hold on to water so that you end up passing concentrated urine because there's too little water in the body. And so the opposite is true. If you are drinking too much water, instead of passing dilute urine, you find it's being accumulated in the body. It can even find itself in the lungs, and you have breathing difficulties. And so these are the common kidney diseases that we face, okay, which we encounter almost on a daily basis. That's one that has happened acutely, acute kidney injury, and one that spills over to become chronic, which is now called chronic kidney disease. So we're going to look, on the days to come, we're going to look at the different modalities on what do we do when we are faced with acute kidney injury, and what do we do when someone presents with chronic kidney injury.
There you have it, Sharon.
Indeed.
I can't help it but get excited with the knowledge that I've accumulated from
yes,
that segment.
The women out there, and lest we forget, we're still in the Women's Month, and the women there from the medical fraternity doing wonders, giving us information with regards to health and what we need to do on various topics. Patrick, like you mentioned before we looked at that clip, and she mentioned quite a lot of things. And last week, Patrick, on I think that was Friday or 30th. When was that?
Yeah, when we're talking about
10th, actually.
10th, yeah.
10th is World Kidney Day, and Zambians took to the medical fraternity was marching in commemoration of this, and you have to you should be aware, Patrick, that kidney disease does not only affect adults but children as well. We have the Children's Hospital, and we have kids that are on dialysis whose kidneys are failed, literally failed, because when you reach that level of going to dialysis, that means they actually failed you. They can't work on their own, so you need to go to the hospital, to the clinic for dialysis every week, at least 3 times. So you can imagine the kids. It's a sorry sight. And we spoke to one of the doctors, one of the nurses in charge of the renal department at UTH, Mtinta, Madam Mtinta. They call her Sister Mtinta. She actually brought out a number of issues. She said it's a very expensive treatment, and she called on various sectors to come on board and just help out with these consumables, what they call consumables, the medicine, the supplies that they need to do the whole process of dialysis. So yeah, it was quite an informative chat that we had, and today the doctors talking about it actually solidifies the call to say we should have our kidneys checked every now and then, because the signs really are usually silent. We don't even know to say, okay, I have this condition or I have this problem. You know, you just notice these things and you feel it's normal, because the signs and symptoms, Patrick, in the health related sector, they are interchangeable. You know, I have a flu, but I'll have a headache, and maybe I have something else, I'll have a headache. So really, you can't know. There's no specific symptom for specific illness or sickness. To say you can only have a headache when you have a flu, you can actually have a headache when you have something different.
Yes.
You know, so basically, what's important here is to have oneself checked every now and then for these organs, especially if you are mumala in a you know?
You are right.
So yeah.
Yeah, so we need to just take a proactive approach, and you don't have to always go to the clinic or health facility to just, when you are terminally ill, where you cannot talk or say anything, or maybe something is really troubling you, but you can actually go to just do a checkup. You check your blood pressure, you check your eyesight, you can check out for anything that is you think you need to go for a checkup for, and they do recommend that in the medical fraternity.
Yes.
Because going actually to the facility when the condition has deteriorated, it is usually difficult to recover from. So I think that's one thing we need to take seriously as people, to ensure that we protect ourselves and safeguard our health. Just now, Sharon, what are we going into now?
Let's zoom in one of the stories, and thereafter we will invite our first guest, Patrick, on set from the Operation Young Vote to talk about.
Have you already told us how the Kwacha is performing?
I'll tell them.
Oh, you are comfortable with how it's performing?
I'll tell them.
I think you tell them now. I think you need to tell them now, because
I think you tell them.
The Kwacha has started misbehaving. Yeah, if last time I checked, it's misbehaving.
Well, it's time to change those dollars. Isaac, please, let's have those exchange rates displayed on the screen. So the United States dollars is buying at 17 kwacha 56 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha 89 ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 22 kwacha 96 ngwe and selling at 23 kwacha 39 ngwe. The Euro is buying at 18 kwacha 89 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 26 ngwe, while the South African Rand is buying at 1 kwacha 16 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 18 ngwe. Those are your money markets as of today, the 16th of March 2022. Much to the amusement of Patrick, he is smiling because he has some dollars packed somewhere there, and he just hopes that the kwacha reaches 20. Then he'll rush to those bureau and bureau the change and change those.
But I hope you also did change some dollars.
I did, but a very, very bad rate. Anyways, I don't even want to talk about it. However, you know, I'm sure it will reach somewhere there. It will depreciate because I was Patrick. I wanted to get something online. And this person, I don't know if ngabale bepa oshani at no dollar na inina. So apana tushinjo mdengo instead of chani babika kwa 25 kwacha. Aye.
So you were disappointed.
I was disappointed, yes, but anyways, it is how it is, and our kwacha sometimes really fluctuates.
Yeah, so that's just like we were talking to some economists in one of the stories we're going to be airing. They were saying that the kwacha is fluctuating like a yo-yo. The
word yo-yo, actually, you know, I thought it wasn't an original word at some point. Like I just thought people just make up this word at a yo-yo. But I turned to like the word, and I used it often at some point.
What's the yo-yo, Sharon?
It's like a thing. Then you have to roll it. Elijah, the English boy, would actually know it. So, you know, you just play with it like that. I don't even know what the fun is in that, though.
So that's exactly how the kwacha has been.
I don't know.
It has been trading between 16 kwacha and 18 kwacha. So basically, that's how it has been trading. But we just hope it won't go beyond the 20 mark. Just like you were saying, it's fluctuating like a yo-yo. But we just hope it will stabilize.
But anyways, like I was saying before, we checked out those exchange rates. We go straight into zooming one of the stories, and when we return, we'll be talking to our guest on set from the Operation Young Vote. They will be telling us about one of the projects that they are undertaking. Remember, we're still in mourning period, and you too out there at home can send us those messages, as well as call in and just send the message of condolences to the Zambian people, because we are all mourning. This man is someone who was fondly known as the president for all Zambians, meaning each one of us has a stake in this national mourning period, and we remember him for various reasons. Those in the sporting discipline remember him for his contribution to the sporting world. Those in the economic sector as well remember him on that front. And actually those in the satirical sector, the Bishop Nkongolos of that world, obviously, he may be one of the inspirations. You know, the Kanitundila thing, that was very satirical, and he was very good at that. And this is a man who was very proud to speak his language. So one or two people might have actually picked it from there and started comedy using their local language. So yes, you can call in and tell us how you remember this gallant man of the soil, Rupia Banda, who is the 4th Republican president. He remains actually the 4th Republican president of Zambia, even in the state he is now. So let's look at this story from the courts, and when we return, we'll be talking to guest Nyorenda from OIV.
They thought the aggravated robbery and murder charge against them was done after the state discontinued the case. However, their freedom was cut short when they were rearrested and slapped with the same offense. Doris Ndumba, a 23-year-old female student, is jointly charged with Kenan Jerry, 23, a businessman, Kegan Zulu, 38, a businessman, Joseph Tembo, 42, a mechanic, and Bobala Mkatasha with the murder of a veteran doctor, Evans Mwengwe, who is said to have given them a lift from Kawe to Lusaka. The 5 are also accused of stealing various items, including his vehicle, after they allegedly murdered him. When the matter came up before Lusaka Magistrate Albert Mwawa Tuesday afternoon, the 5 were committed to the Lusaka High Court based on instructions issued by the Director of Public Prosecution. As the offense they are facing before court are only tried by the High Court. In December last year, the 5 were rearrested by the police at the Lusaka High Court grounds after the state entered a nolle prosequi in the matter. Before they were rearrested, trial had commenced in the case, and more than 3 witnesses testified before a High Court judge, including the wife to the deceased. It was revealed that the deceased body was discovered partially bent, and a shoelace was allegedly used to strangle him. The 5 are expected to appear before a High Court judge soon, once again, for commencement of their trial. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. You are watching the Camnet Breakfast Wednesday edition, Governance and Politics, and we have been just joined by our first guest of the day today, and that's Mr. Guest Nyorenda, the Operation Young Vote Executive Director. Is not new to Camnet TV.
No, it's not.
We've been engaging him on a number of issues, especially pertaining to news. Welcome to the program, Mr. Nyorenda.
Thank you, comrade. It's always a pleasure to be here.
It would be folly of us not talking about how we remember the 4th Republican president. You are aware we are in mourning period, probably under a minute or two. Just how you remember him, because really, before we delve into this conversation.
Well, indeed, you are right that I think it would be folly and unfortunate if we went through the program without talking about our fallen hero in the name of Rupia Bwezani-Banda. For me, I think even for civil society, Rupia Banda was somebody that was a man for everyone, a man of all the people, and of course a man of all seasons. If you look at his public life career, I think it stems from all kinds of sectors, if you like, and I think that is something that we cannot take away from him. But also, you remember that it was during the time of Rupia Banda that the NGO Act was passed. And of course, some of Azila's excited members, ministers, then wanted to have it implemented. But I think he presided over them, and that was not implemented. So even if it was passed in the year 2009, it was not implemented until the Patriotic Front, took over office, and they started implementing it in 2013. So he did preside, knowing very well that it was not a good law. To govern the NGO sector, but also it was not just a good law in terms of standing with the Constitution, and just generally the legal framework and just the principles of freedom of expression, the doctrine of separation of powers, and so on and so forth. Because as you are aware, the civil society is the fifth estate. From the fourth estate, the media, now civil society is the fifth estate. And you cannot afford in any way to stifle the work of the fifth estate. And he did preside, he did just overrule that should not be implemented. And I think for us, we pay tribute to him. He was a great man. He was a great president. He's one person, even when he was at the helm of the country, he would remember you for who you were. He never looked at people with the lens of status, whether you were a marketeer, whatever status you wear or you possess. Rupia Banda really welcomed you and really engaged you at that level. He would fit at every status, and I think he's a great he was a great man, and he united this country. Remember, it's not easy. The sitting president passes or dies, then he held the country together as vice president, of course, and acting president then, until we went for the elections. Again, he did hold the country together. He's a man of his own, and I think he deserves our seriousness in mourning him. We really need to do it in a sober manner. We really need to ensure that as much as possible we send off this hero in a manner so befitting to him.
Okay, so the Operation Young Vote obviously is a household name, but they will still have people that are not so sure what they are for or what they do, and owing to the fact that you are championing a campaign to say your vote campaign. We're not even in an election period. What does it mean?
Vote? How?
Yeah. Who are you as OIV? What does this project mean? What is it all about?
Well, I think it's important. First of all, let me just lay the foundation with regards to who Operation Young Vote is. Operation Young Vote is an NGO, very non-governmental, and I want to be very, very emphatic on that one. Very, very non-governmental.
Are you sure?
Of course, of course. We have seen NGOs come and go, okay, because they have decided to side either with the ruling party or with the opposition. And because of that, they have crumbled along the way. But Operation Young Vote has stood the test of time because we have followed our principles of being independent, being autonomous, and just being an NGO, a non-governmental organization. So Operation Young Vote was born in the year 2000. This year on 11th August, Operation Young Vote will be turning 22 years old. It's not easy. A child is born, they go to school, they finish, they go to college, and this is who Operation Young Vote is. It's basically a platform for the youth. It's a platform for the young people. It's a voice of and a voice for the youth. Of course, the youth will speak for themselves. It is their voice. But also there are other stakeholders like ourselves who are beyond the youth bracket who will speak for the youth. So that is also a voice for the youth. It is a platform that we brought together to see to it that, young people did participate in the endeavors of the country, but also national building and national development. We realized around in the 90s that the young people's participation was not there. Their rights were infringed upon. So we thought, what could we do as young people getting together? That's how we decided to form this platform, this organization, which would spearhead the engagement and participation of young people in governance, in the electoral process, but also seeing to it that young people engaged in decision making, but also in leadership. So that is where Operation Young Vote is coming from, and that's who Operation Young Vote is. We have participated so robustly in activities or in national programs. The 2001 elections was one of our launch pads, and we did participate in a more befitting way, in a manner that really brought together young people from all walks of life to engage in national building and national matters. Then from there we also went to the other elections, but also even the by-elections, but also just generally engaging in matters that are very important and pertinent to the country. Among them is the Electoral Reform Technical Committee. When the Electoral Reform Technical Committee was put together by President Mwanawasa, may his soul rest in peace, Operation Young Vote was identified as a platform for the young people to bring the voice of the young people at that time, and we did participate robustly. I did participate at an individual level as a principal researcher, and really as young people we did contribute a lot into that. But so many other programs, including constitutional review commissions, and many other national programs and undertakings. If you look at the youth issues to do with the youth policy, the Youth Act, the National Youth Development Council Act, and many other policies that pertain to youth engagement and participation in the country, as Operation Young Vote, we've played a pivotal role in those particular endeavors. So this is who Operation Young Vote is. But then last year, 2021, we did put together two very robust campaigns. One of them was to do with enhancing the participation, the civic and voter participation and obligation of young people and women, and we had selected areas, particularly in Lusaka. But then that was supported by the U.S. Embassy in Zambia, and we say thanks to them for that, and we did a very wonderful job. And this is why and how you saw that there were huge numbers during the elections of young people and many citizens wanting to cast their vote, to express themselves through the ballot. But we also had a similar campaign that was sponsored by the UNDP, United Nations Development Program. Of course, it's a basket fund by many other donors. So we did the campaign we were calling My, Your, Our Vote. voice, victory, cast it, emancipate self and emancipate others.
What's long? How were people able to remember
Well,
that?
the people would only remember, the best was to remember my, our, your vote. That was enough.
Okay, the other ones were just additional.
Exactly.
Yeah,
the other ones
context,
were just
yeah.
Absolutely. And we did do this across the country. It was implemented in four provinces, but also even others benefited from from programs like media programs and so on and so forth.
Which were the targeted provinces?
The targeted provinces were Southern Province, Copperbelt Province, Lusaka Province, and Eastern Province. And in
the criteria for choosing them?
Yes.
Okay, remember that the UNDP did fund 18 organizations.
Exactly.
Yeah, so of those 18 organizations, we did sit down and agreed, shared the country, equally or equitably, whatever.
According to capacity.
Absolutely. According to capacity, but also according to where your presence is so much, so that we do not, duplicate efforts. And also we cover the country at the same time, but with the same vigor and effort. So we did concentrate in those provinces, and even in those provinces we did not go to all the districts. We had selected districts also because we had to share again with the other 17 CSOs on who does which district, who goes where. So this campaign, we did flag it all over, and we made sure that as much as possible the young people, because the overall goal was that we needed to improve the participation of the youth and the women and persons with disabilities in the electoral process. And we did our best, and this is why you saw the results on 12 August, those queues so massive and so huge. But then beyond that campaign, 12th August came, people voted in mass, in numbers, which for us, we were extremely happy. But then what next? People vote, so what next? Yeah, and that is where now the whole thing lies. And this is why probably I am here to speak to this very important innovation we are calling the Follow Your Vote campaign.
Why follow your vote, Mr. Nyinenda?
Great.
One would wonder to say, my election back to your case.
People would think that you follow it in 2026.
Exactly.
No. It's immediately after the 12th August election, that is 2021. You cast your vote, but then you need to follow your vote through. Because at the moment you have put people in office, those are duty bearers. You have given them the privilege to preside over the resources that this country has, and also we want to make them aware as our duty bearers that they are not the most wise, they are not the most intelligent, they are not the most privileged, or they are not the only ones that know things. We have just given them an opportunity for this particular moment to preside over our resources. Now, this is whether one is in the opposition, as long as they were elected to office, whether it's a councillor, it's a council chairperson, it's the mayor, it's a member of parliament, and the president also. We put them in office, not that because they are the most intelligent, no, or they are the ones that will solve our problems, not at all. We have put them in office so that they are able to ensure that the resources that this country possesses, the resources that God has endowed this country with, are shared in a way that all of us are going to benefit from. Now, this Follow Your Vote campaign has a number of, first of all, the overall objective of the Follow Your Vote campaign is basically to have a continued participation and engagement of the voters, the electorate, the citizens, in matters that affect them, in matters of governance. They must continue to participate. We shouldn't only think about participation when it is election time. We must continue to participate every day of our lives. And this is why this innovation of Follow Your Vote. And among the specific objectives of Follow Your Vote is to ensure that we continue to cultivate people's engagement in the electoral process, in governance, and basically in the matters that affect them and their well-being. But also it is to make sure that there's continued collaboration between or amongst, first of all, the citizens, the electorate. We voted, young people voted, they want to see results. So this Follow Your Vote will make them continue to speak to each other, will make them continue to follow their issues, but also, apart from the collaboration amongst the stakeholders or the electorate and the citizens, there's also collaboration between the stakeholders or the electorate and citizens on one hand and the duty bearers on the other. I think we have this culture in this country, this attitude where when people are elected into office, the next time you will see them is when they are campaigning for the next election.
Exactly. And the president also said that to say they'll just come back and say tantameni. So
absolutely.
I'll give you my handout.
We want to do away with the tantameni syndrome. It must get out of our way. We must have a continued collaboration and engagement between the rights holders and the duty bearers. An MP should not be scared of me when they meet me on the way. They shouldn't pull their window up, okay? Because and it's in tint. They don't want anyone to see them. They come, they are sneaking into their constituencies. That should come to an end. We want the way they used to come during campaigns, that everyone sees them, everyone greets them. That's a kind of scenario that we are trying to bring forth with the Follow Your Vote campaign. They must be able to say, okay, this is where we are in terms of development. This is how far we have gone. Or this cannot be done now because of A, B. They must be able to sit with their electorate and explain to them, because we are the rights holders and we need information for us to be able to make informed decisions. So it is such a one. But also it will one other objective is to ensure that, look, the oneness is maintained. Look, we are talking of one Zambia, one nation.
Exactly.
Now, if we are one Zambia, one nation, we must get together. And this Follow Your Vote campaign will glue us together, because we'll be talking of issues that affect us, issues of our well-being. And we'll be talking them in a harmonious manner, in cordial, engagements, not where you are throwing stones or you are insulting and so on and so forth. We'll be talking about them in a manner that is more, helpful. But also, we want to ensure that no one is left behind. I think this theme of people
not leaving anyone behind.
Yeah, not leaving anyone behind has been running with us for some time. But we know that some people have been left behind.
Many.
Of course, many people have been left behind. You are right. And we expect that this Follow Your Vote campaign will help us in a way, because people will be brought together at their local level. And because it is at their local level, they will be able to voice out to say, this is what we expect, or this is what we want. Then, like that, we'll be able to move forward in one accord. But one would ask, how do you envisage to achieve this,
exactly,
to do all this?
Practical steps.
What are some of the practical steps you are going to do to implement this campaign successfully?
Absolutely, and it's very simple. We have what we are calling when people meet, they will develop. Of course, people will meet the electorate, the citizens, or the locals in that particular area, ward, constituency, district, province, and so on and so forth, will meet to develop what we are calling the local community demand accountability and advocacy tool. Okay, so now this tool is basically a communique where as a community in your particular area, you are saying, yes, we appreciate there's this, yes, we know that there's this, yes, this is going on well. However, there are these things that we feel should be attended to like immediately. Okay, things of sewer, things of lack of employment for the youth, things of engagement and the robust participation of the women and the persons with disabilities. So they will be able to note all that down. But beyond that, then they will be able to make recommendations and say, we recommend the following. This is what, and we want these things to be on paper. Now, what we are doing as Operation Young Vote, we have gone to all our areas of our target areas, like I mentioned, for the my, our, your, vote, voice campaign. We have gone back there and we have engaged people. Of course, this time around, and we are very happy that some local councillors have bought into this, are really interested, and they are participating, okay, in the orientations and trainings. They are also participating. So the idea is that together they will sit and they will come up with whatever they think is priority in their area, and that particular stuff they will be able now to put it on paper, okay, in black and white, and we will submit that or they will submit that to their local councillor. So one of them will go, one copy will go to the local councillor, then the other one will go to the council chairperson, then the other one will also go to the member of parliament, the other one will go to the district commissioner, and will also go to we are carrying copies for every area we have been to, carrying copies, and will be submitting to the head of state.
But Mr. Nyenda, one would ask as well, how will this initiative fit into the pending 8th National Development Plan?
Absolutely, very important question, comrade, and that is our aim, because if we are going to just put these things on paper, I mean, anyone can just get a paper and throw it away.
With our reading culture.
Absolutely. But what we are envisaging is that as government is, doing all policies, one of them is the 8th National Development Plan. As government and ourselves, stakeholders, are putting together the final 8th National Development Plan, will be able to ensure that all those issues that have been raised by the locals in their specific areas are brought into the 8th National Development Plan, so that even when the rolling out of the plan begins, it means that the issues that people have raised at local level will be also attended to at the very time that the 8th National Development Plan is being rolled out. Because it is not isolated development that we are looking for. We are looking at development that is robust, that is holistic, and we are, getting to the locals so that they tell us their priorities and they put it in this local community demand accountability and advocacy tool, so that at the end of the day we are able to feed into this these plans. It could be the 8th National Development Plan. It could be when the youth policy is being revised, because the youth policy today is something that is expired. So we need a brand new youth policy, and at that time that the youth policy will begin to be revised, then all those things that pertain to that particular matter will be able to feed into. Of course, there's also constitutional review that is pending anytime. It may be starting. So as that starts, there are issues that pertain to the constitution that people are raising. So all those will be forwarded to all those particular endeavors and programs that the country is undertaking. But that we will not, you know, like stop the processes that we are doing right now, because like we are saying, they raise these issues, they raise this communique, which of course is not cast in concrete, because it's a living document, and it will be adjusted as and when the people of the community feel that this has been attended to, maybe halfway or completely. Can we bring in another priority issue? So it will from time to time be reviewed and adjusted. But like I said, these documents will not only end at a councillor, will not end at the MP or the district commissioner, council chairperson or mayor. They will come as far as the head of state. We will ensure that we find time that we are going to share all this with the head of state. By the way, he's president for the people, and for now he has shown that he's a man of the people, and the people now are speaking through these communiques that they are developing through this follow your vote, and will be able to share with him. And it's just imperative and important that we share with him so that he knows what people are demanding. And this is in a more structured and organized way, as it were.
Out of curiosity, I would also want to ask, how will the media also participate in terms of ensuring that they keep track of the project and also follow up on the progress made regarding the project? Are you undertaking some capacity building of some sort to ensure that the media is also abreast and be able to participate in this project?
Just to add on, Mr. Nyarindo, this is a mammoth task that you are undertaking. With regards to community members, have you trained trainers to facilitate and talk to members of the public on this important project? Because really, if you just give them documents, they may not understand. And even as of today, some people don't even know why they voted for a particular political party. They don't even know how to provide those checks and balances, how to hold their leaders accountable, because we still have the Tidiemo syndrome. Absolutely. You know, when your leader, your councillor, your member of parliament shows up, they give you maybe a 10,000 kwacha group of 10 women, you feel that is enough empowerment. And they're basically shutting your mouth, you know. So how then are you making sure that these people really know how they can value their vote, they can be practical in pointing out the wrongs, following up the developmental aspirations that they have, and that their leaders can facilitate to the powers that be?
Great. Let me begin by whether we are training people on the ground so that, you know, they own this project, because this project is theirs. It's theirs. It's not for us here in Lusaka. That's why we are calling the communiques that develop. It's them developing. These are local community demands, you know, and accountability advocacy tools. They are developing themselves. For us, we are just facilitating, you know, the process. So we have oriented members of the public. We have oriented our members as members of Operation Young Vote, but also members from other organizations. I'll tell you that, for example, those that have attended our orientations wherever we have been include people from Gears Initiative, people from CSPR, people from FODEP, people from SACOD, and all these comrades. The idea is that this campaign, OIV is just an innovator. You know, we have brought this initiative or innovation, but we want people to take it up. It is their campaign, so that at the end of the day, they are able to, you know, meet those objectives that we have spoken to. But also we have the media who has been with us, you know, as we do these orientations. By the way, we'll be having something I need to confirm with my office, whether it's the dates for Saturday are confirmed, where we need our media colleagues to be part of what will be happening on Saturday in terms of the very same Follow Your Vote initiative. The idea is that all of us as rights holders, including the duty bearers, they must know that, look, when you are in office or when they are in office, they are not there for themselves. They are there for the least person in the in society, and the best they can do is to ensure that they interact with us at all times. It is not them to find solutions to the problems that we face as a country. It is all of us holistically as a country together. But also we'll be conducting capacity buildings just for the media alone. That is very inevitable. It's important, because as a fourth estate, you need to know this and follow this particular endeavor through and through, so that we achieve what we need to achieve as a country and as a people.
All right, we're in conversation with Operation Young Vote Executive Director, Mr. Guest Nyurenda. You can send in those text messages as well as call in and ask him about this project they are calling Follow Your Vote campaign. It is inevitable that we need to follow up once we put these duty bearers in office. But how often do we do this, and what is the right procedure of following up matters that we need in our respective areas? And he is here on set talking about these issues. However, Mr. Nyurenda, this should be our dying minutes with you.
You have a question for
you have a question?
Before we went
okay, perfect.
Yes, Mr. Nyurenda, talking about Sharon was just, as she was explaining, there is a perception that when you are holding duty bearers, do you have to insult, or you need to follow
what is the right procedure?
The registration that are existing, or say the pledges that have been made, or let's say laws, that the policies that have been put in place and follow through in terms of implementation?
Excellent. Let me answer this question in this way. First of all, leaders, when they were campaigning, they did make certain promises. Okay, they outlined issues that they will do for the people. I'll come and do this. I'll give you employment. I'll give you this. You know, you'll have a mother's shelter here, and all those things. Number one, it is to ask them to be accountable to that particular, or those particular promises that they made. So it is just to follow through the promises that they made. But beyond the promises that they made, they are obliged as leaders, okay, to provide certain services and incentives to the members of the public. So whether they promised or they did not promise, look, if one did not say there will be medicines in hospital, I mean, we need medicines in hospital for us to survive, you know, to have good health when we are sick, to be attended to. So whether they promised or they did not promise, they must provide medicines in hospital. So there are things that they promised, yes, we'll follow through them, but there are things that should make our livelihood easier, our well-being as members of society and members of the public, to live dignified lives. They must be able to ensure that they provide those. Now, in terms of how do they do it? Do they need to insult? Do they need to call people names? No, not at all. They don't need to do that. This is why we are putting them on paper, on that communique, where we sit down, people say what they want, and you put it on paper and you submit to the leaders. And from time to time, you will invite leaders to come and address you on those particular matters that you raised, but also on other matters that you may not have raised. It is important that that is adhered to. And for us, this Follow Your Vote has come timely. We know that people may say, but why in the UPND? No, it's just timely. It's not in the UPND, it's just in the leadership. So whether you are a councillor from the opposition, you are an MP from the opposition, this Follow Your Vote campaign is actually targeting you.
Your concluding remarks, Mr. Nyurenda.
Well, first of all, I think just to appeal to the Zambians and to other, civil society organizations and citizens generally, this should be taken as their own campaign, because it is to make your well-being, flourish, to make your life normal and dignified. So fellow civil society organizations, leaders, they should take this up and see to it how they localize, how they adjust it to fit into their programs. We know that their CSOs that could be funded and they have monies, they must take this campaign through to the members of the community, so that at the end of the day we have a robust campaign that will at the end of the day bring the results that we want for the people of Zambia. But also to say to the citizens that, look, the time for tantamen is over, the time for handouts is over. Can we hold our leaders accountable to what they promised, to what they need to do, so that when they do it, it is all of us today who will benefit, but also the unborn, the generations that are coming behind us will also benefit. To OIV, I think the members that are behind this this innovation, please keep it up. Continue the fight, continue the push. It is worth it. To the media, please come on board. Let's do this together. And to the leaders, the head of state, please, you must embrace this. It's important because it will give you what the people who are close to you are not able to give you. People who are advising these presidents, most of the time they always tell them, all is well, don't worry, all is well, when things are not well. So we are appealing to the head of state to embrace this, to actually follow this through and ask us, how far are you with the follow your vote? Can I have feedback, so that he is able to get what the people on the ground are saying? Because I mean, it's not possible that all of us will have time to engage the head of state. So it's important. But also to our cooperating partners. Sometimes, we have monies and we put our monies into just doing meetings, and we are not getting on the ground,
exactly,
to what the people's priorities are. This is one innovation that the cooperating partners can buy into and see how they could support Operation Young Vote or any other organization that they are supporting. They say, okay, we have heard this, how can you do it? They support their favorite organizations, so that at the end of the day, as Zambians, we continue living together, we continue doing things together, and we continue developing the country as one. And for me, I think that would be what we need to do going forward as a people.
All right, Mr. Nyarinda, though, the Tijemo syndrome, I'm telling you, because we've had interviews with people. I think the other time we received a story from Copperbelt, where people don't even understand the boundary of the member of parliament. They don't understand the boundary of a district commissioner. For them, they feel, we put you into office, you need to do this for us. So also, that needs to be educated to the people to say, okay, guys, member of parliament is just there to lobby, not necessarily, because most MPs complain to say, when I go to my constituency, I end up using my whole money dishing out.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that you need to constantly engage the public out there, so that they know exactly how best to offer these checks and balances.
Well, that has been said, and we hope that this campaign will play a major role towards combating that, because it will be on the ground. And this is just one of the episodes we are airing on the Follow Your Vote campaign. We just hope we also play a role in terms of changing the people's perspective on governance as Camnet TV. Just now, we are going to take a short break. We'll be back on the other side. Stay tuned.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
God created you. The Bible says, I knew you before I placed you in your mother's womb.
Apples and bananas. Working, waiting, this what you've been praying for.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
They were not there when God created you. The Bible says, I knew you before I placed you in your mother's womb.
Apples and bananas. Working, waiting, this what you've been praying for.
Welcome back. You are watching the Camnet Breakfast with me, Patrick Soko, and Shalon Kalimbola. And we had Mr. Ges Nyelenda from the Operation Young Vote, OIV. He was helping us to discuss the Follow Your Vote campaign. We'll be doing this silly for quite some time.
About five more episodes
of this campaign to just follow through regarding what are some of the issues that need to be tackled, because you know that on the 12th of August 2021, Zambians cast their vote to elect leaders of their choices, and when that process is done, what follows is implementation. Exactly. And talking about implementation, it can also not be done without the aspect of providing checks and balances to duty bearers, and that's what that project seeks to address. Equally, us in the media fraternity, that is our responsibility to always remind duty bearers of the promises they made during the campaign period, so that they follow through and implement those pledges. Shalom.
Indeed, Patrick, it's a very, very good program, a project, actually, initiative they're calling, because most of the times when we vote people into office, we literally forget about it. You know, it remains the job of a civil society, it remains the job of the opposition political parties to actually point out the wrongs that the ruling party is doing, or those elected leaders. Some of them, because they're from opposition political, some are independent, you know. But then we fail to follow through. We just wait for election years. So this initiative is timely. I think by the time we reach 5 years, it will be able to also help people make informed decisions, either to give those people a second chance, or to literally get rid of them and bring in other people who may help actually realize their dreams of developing respective constituencies, respective wards, respective areas. Because what we need at the end of the day is development. We don't need certain areas to be developed more than others, you know. So we all call for this development. People vote, especially in 2021, you know. It was, others actually call it a protest vote, because they feel people got tired of certain situations, certain programs, certain incidences by then the ruling Patriotic Front. So they just wanted change. So they put all their hope in the ballot box. And in order for those hopes or those dreams to be realized, they need to constantly engage with the duty bearers, to constantly follow up and see whether they're doing the correct thing, because they may have forgotten, especially with the 25.7 million constituency development fund.
Yeah, while government is equally making those efforts to implement, it also takes hard work at personal level, because when you work hard and persevere in whatever thing you are doing, it be a business or at your workplace, it means consequently you will progress, and when you prosper, the nation gets to benefit, and those are principles we need to always abide to, while the government also has to make sure that it creates a favorable environment for citizens to thrive in their endeavors. If our citizens are not thriving in their businesses due to, for instance, laws that are not conducive, then it becomes retrogressive for the country to progress. So we always have to continuously remind duty bearers of their responsibility to ensure that they take development across the country, implement policies that are going to be favorable to its citizens, so that people can be well off. Because if you are able to do your own hustle and it works out for you, then you are going to be able to support your family, support the community, and overall support the nation. So just now we're going to play, Sharon, another interesting story we had in the main news yesterday involving Patriotic Front members of parliament
being suspended for 30 days. 30 MPs being suspended for 30 days.
So they get each one day.
That's what I was thinking. You know, yesterday when you gave me this story, I was like, I was thinking back and if one. So that each one should miss one day. Then the rest of the days, I mean, they'll be invalid. But then I just laughed about it. It was like, what a crazy way of thinking. However, yes, they were suspended for 30 days, effective yesterday. And we are yet to see what they are going to. They've actually threatened to take legal action against the second speaker, that is Attractor Sangano, and they feel it's an unfair decision that was made. They went halabaloo, including their vice president, their president actually, Given Luinda, at a press conference that was held shortly after that decision was made yesterday. And it was like, we don't even want allowances. But then my thinking was, okay, Given Luinda is not in parliament. Why is he speaking for his colleagues to say they don't want allowances?
And they went on to agree with him.
They went on to agree with him, say yes, we don't want allowances.
Okay, let's go to that clip.
Yes, so dramatic.
Patriotic Front members of parliament walked out of the house when Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Attractor Chisangano, allowed the debate on State House to proceed despite the objection from leader of the opposition, Brian Mundubile. However, the matter was deemed out of order and the ruling was reserved. Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Attractor Chisangano, announced the ruling which saw the suspension of 30 PF members of parliament from the National Assembly for 30 days.
I wish to inform you that in accordance with Section 28(3) of the National Assembly Powers and Privileges Act, during the period of your suspension, you shall not enter the precincts of the Assembly, and this extends to the National Assembly Motel. You shall not participate in an activity of the Assembly or any committee that you are signed in your capacity as Member of Parliament. You shall not be paid the salary or allowances that you are entitled to as a member. I now order you, suspended PF members of Parliament, to immediately leave the proceedings of the House on 30 days suspension.
Opposition Patriotic Front Mpolokoso constituency lawmaker Brian Mundubile, during the media briefing in Lusaka Tuesday, accused the executive of interfering with the legislature.
Change that the Zambian people fought for. He's beginning to manifest his ugly face. We want to stand with the Zambian people to defend the doctrine of separation of powers, where the executive must stay away from the other organs of the state. We want a parliament that is going to function independently, independent of the executive function. We want a judiciary that is going to operate independently. And that is what we, as your members of parliament, are going to fight for. What we are seeing now is a very sad story. It makes very sad reading in our democratic dispensation.
Whether what you are pronouncing and what you are implementing are one and the same. We will be happy to see whether this action taken will help our people in seeing the prices of the best commodities coming down. We need to address the cost of living for our people, which is affecting our people every day. People are committing suicide because life has become unbearable. And if we avoid the real issues, we start focusing on pet issues, it will be very unfortunate for this nation.
And PF Lukasha constituency Member of Parliament George Chisanga says they will take legal action on the matter.
Who have been suspended actually operate from will have been denied the right to interrogate the statement that was made by the President on the floor of the House. So for me, it's a dark day of constitutional democracy in the country, and we have deliberated as members of Parliament for the Patriotic Front, and we have taken the decision that we're going to make a legal challenge to the decision that was made by the Speaker of the House of Parliament of the National Assembly today. We are about to go and speak to our lawyers. We want to take legal action to make sure that we remedy this situation.
In the meantime, PF Acting President Given Dubinda says PF members of Parliament are not bothered by the allowances they get at Parliament because it is not a major driving factor, but representing the people of Zambia.
Monuments even before you became members of Parliament. Amen. Some of you are even losing money because of being members of Parliament. So you're not there for one of us. Having been a parliamentarian myself, I know what I'm talking about. Huh? So, don't be bothered about them talking about emoluments, because after all, you're not there for emoluments. You are there to represent your people, to represent the people.
Well, will the suspension of the 30 members of Parliament affect proceedings, especially when it comes to debating bills? For now, we can only wait and see as events unfold. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Well, one interesting feature, Patrick, also is that we have almost all the suspended members of Parliament, not about 30, but whose elections were, is it nullified or something?
Yes.
You know? I saw Bowman Lusambo there. I saw the other. Anyway, Nikulimba.
Okay.
And then the UPND. I'm meant to understand that it's the UPND MPs who were screaming in the background that Titwalipita mwefyo.
We went through that process.
When they are afraid they are walking out of Parliament, and then they scream Titwalipita mwefyo, because really the UPND have a huge history of being suspended, walking out of Parliament, boycotting presidential statements.
Do you miss Matibin?
I think I do somehow. I think I do. Member of Parliament for Kanchibia.
He's providing a ruling.
Exactly. I actually miss him, and I talked about him, I think, the day before yesterday. I was like, I think I miss Matibini in Parliament.
It's also exciting. Yeah.
And also, I miss the UPND on the other side. The opposition side.
It is no wonder sometimes newscasters sometimes tend to make a mistake to say the opposition UPND. And you haven't gotten used to the
I think Parliament was really interesting at that time because they provided real checks and balances. The likes of Jack Mwimbo, Cornelius Mwetwa, Van Dame, that's... Don't go there. I've even forgotten his name. Gavin Kombo, yes, local government minister. So those were people, when they stand on the floor of Parliament, actually you say, wow, you're listening, they will chat to you, they will just give you their attention, and it was interesting.
I remember when we were doing some stories pertaining some of the issues, some of the things people were saying prior to the election over, let's say, Cornelius Mwetwa, Jack Mwimbo, and Gavin Kombo, where people were trying to say, no, they have overstayed in Parliament and whatever. There was always that defense that used to come from the ground that, no, these members of Parliament have been providing checks and balances, and they have been there for the country. and they have been very active and vocal. Because sometimes, Sharon, I can tell you that there's some members of parliament who have been in the National Assembly for 5 years, and you would hardly know their name.
Exactly, some of them we just got to find out. We just got to find out when they were privileged to take up certain positions just last year, after the UPND won, that they've been in parliament for like 5 years.
Yes.
You know,
We also
I start wondering. You say,
exactly. So when you are interviewing this CMP, you're saying, hey, why in Zambia?
Exactly.
But we also have some interesting characters under the PF at the moment. We have the likes of suspended Bowman. We have the leader of the opposition, Brian Mundubile. We also have
Kampiongos too.
Those, I think, are among those who are more active in terms of.
I think even Sunday
Chanda. Yes. So we just hope that Parliament to be as active as it was and as lively as it was, because at the end of the day, the nation depends on these members of Parliament in terms of providing checks and balances, also giving foresight, especially in the formulation of laws. But there are a number of bills that will be tabled in the House this session. So we just hope that that won't affect the debates. And we also understand that members of Parliament are supposed to be debating the presidential speech, which borders on national values and principles. So we just hope that
this will not
the debate will be okay, because at the end of the day,
it's a long time.
Yes, at the end of the day, it is not good to just listen to the debate on one side.
Exactly.
You say, no, the president's speech was
because they'll say it was good. Yes.
But we also want the others to point out things they may have thought that are inadequate or they are missing in that speech that was delivered by President Hakainde Hichilema during his second address in Parliament, and that address was just specific on national values and principles. Talking about national values and principles, Sharon has her own opinion as well on that.
Exactly, I have my own opinion, but one of the things and the takeaways that came out from the presidential speech was the issue of handouts, which people wrote about, to say people should not get used to this. Instead, they should embrace working hard for whatever they wanted. Also, the issue of alcohol among the youths. In the advent of mental health, alcohol has been deemed as a key driver to mental health, to diseases such as HIV, to a lot of gender-based violence cases. So he actually called on the line departments in these government wings to ensure that alcohol intake is not done in excess. But one of the things that actually also comes out all the time is, why should we even allow alcohol to be sold, to be manufactured? It's a very huge economic driver. We can't run away from that. But then it's got all these negative impacts on the people's livelihoods. Why then do we still continue to manufacture, to sell, to advertise? At some point, Patrick, we even had one of our brands, local known brands, placed at the roundabout, Kafua roundabout, when you're coming from Kafua Road, Cairo Road, at the roundabout there was a lot of billboards placed for our famous local brand, the green, you know, the Mosotunia. Yes, so basically that also for some stakeholders, they're like, okay, this shows that we are a very highly alcohol consumption country, you know. So there are all these things that were coming into play. But for me, though, it's the issue of alcohol, excessive alcohol intake being a key driver to many, many negative impacts, such as diseases, such as mental health, such as sexual violence, GBV, all these things. So we hope that those that were tasked to ensure that alcohol intake is done in moderation, do the right thing, so that we don't actually record such negative things from excessive alcohol intake. So yeah.
Important views, Sharon, you bring out there on alcohol abuse. We are not being serious as a country when it comes to issues pertaining to alcohol abuse. It also borders on degeneration of morals, especially in society. In low-income areas, the situation is worse because people are starting to drink as early as 6 hours, Sharon. Someone is like a zombie. And you are wondering, at what point in time is this person going to work?
Exactly.
And that is reducing national productivity. So All those things are things we need to take serious as a country. And I'm glad that the president did mention to say alcohol is a problem. But you see, we have a problem in Zambia where the alcohol policy is driven by the alcohol industry. And now, at the end of the day, you end up with a policy that is just gathering dust there because no one is actually implementing the policy. I come from the community in a densely populated area, Sharon. You'd hardly see these officers patrolling with a megaphone, educating people about the dangers of alcohol abuse. Sometimes the council just go and confiscate liquor from those who open bars at a designated time. At isolated times.
Exactly. And
it is not a consistent matter.
They even know where and when to go.
Yes.
They're also probably afraid of being harassed because most of illicit alcohol intake is done in densely populated areas, like you mentioned. We talk about the 100% alcohol, Kachasu, and the Maureen Mukia in other places, in other areas. That's what it's called. You know, it's just pure 100% alcohol.
And you remember, Sharon? Bendeka, where we have some.
You know, when funny names in these communities describing these famous kachazu. Here in Lusaka, we have Chivolia, we have Chilenje, also some parts of these areas. They manufacture these.
I think what would be key, Sharon, would be how we manage ourselves in terms of alcohol. But when we talk about Kamwedwe, it is how we work around our policy. Let's say we have to enforce the time in terms, from what time to what time can people be involving in drinks? What time should bars open? Those are key discussions. And at what the age restriction clause has to be strictly adhered to. But at the moment, Sharon, young people are patrolling bars like it's normal, busy playing cards. So these are incidents that are happening in communities, and there's no one to control these situations. And by the time we arise, it will be talking about a situation that will be uncontrollable. Juvenile delinquency will be on a high level.
Exactly.
And we're going to be talking about high levels of criminality. And it will be difficult for us as a country to start responding to those effects as compared to when we take a proactive approach, because the cost will be less compared to when we start responding to these criminal activities.
Other stakeholders, Patrick, that we've spoken to over this issue say it's because most of the young people don't have much to do. But honestly, there's so many people out there that don't really have much to do, but they're still choosing the right path, you know. What comes into their mind?
It goes back to the family, Sharon.
What comes into their mind?
It goes back to the family. The way you are raising your children, you're making sure that they are in order and they're doing things that are in order. But in these low-income areas, sometimes you'd find that we even have child-headed households where we also have these children who are just behaving like parents, where this child is sent to go and sell things at the time.
To go at the end of the day, they
do anything necessary to go and order beer for this shop so that they can earn something. And at the end of the day, these are factors that initiate them into that activity.
This also reminds me of the tobacco-related issues.
Yes,
that
it's the same issue.
It's the same issue, really, because one of the professors that we usually talk to on this tobacco-related topic, Professor Faston Goma, he actually says, don't send children to go and buy cigarettes for you, because eventually they'll want to smoke. You know, it's the same thing with alcohol. You're sending a child to go and buy alcohol for you. If they are allowed in a bar, for example, at the age of 15, 10, by the time they're reaching 16, even 15, you know, now start disrespecting you. And then what do we make of a society like that? If somebody is drinking excessively at the age of 16, how will they focus on school? How will they focus on other productive areas? So it's a matter of concern. It starts from household levels, and each one of us needs to take a holistic approach and ensure that their house is okay. Like they say, charity begins at home. It's not basically about anything and everything. It's about everything, you know. When you start training your children to do certain things at home, they will definitely not depart from it. If they do, life happens, they will eventually come back to their senses at a certain time. So let us ensure that we don't expose children to things that are of illicit nature. You know, alcohol intake, selling alcohol buying alcohol for you, buying cigarettes for you, selling, and basically being found in such an environment where there are just people taking alcohol because they think it's normal. The other time, Patrick, we covered a story at Chilenge area, that area. What area is that? Mapoloto area, yes. Whereby Ngawafika na Padepa area, no mwena waji. Guys, I think Elijah needs to go there.
Yeah.
We need to remove this civility in him. He's too civil.
Yes,
so we need to put him that kama in the Kabu Savage Panon. Otherwise, that place, honestly, it's like you've gone in a different world.
It's like the Chivolia of Chilenge.
It's like the Chivolia of Chilenge. You'd be shocked when you just you find even the people that are there, the young people
the youths
that
when you talk about alcohol abuse, substance abuse, you find them there.
But
openly.
Their faces are shiny. That's the shininess of alcohol.
Yes. So just now we're going to zoom in one another story that which we had. And this is stories on labor matters where the former workers of this company were evicted out of their house, and they had to endure the cold outside and the rains. Well, these are challenges our citizens are going through in the hands of these so-called investors.
Anyways, let's look at this story on the other side. We talk a bit about it, and then we close the show. We are in the dying minutes. This is the breakfast show.
It was a sight of confusion at Best Choice and Manufacturing Limited Tuesday afternoon in Lusaka's industrial area, as families of workers who were allegedly fired without being given reason in February 2022 sought to seek audience with company management after they were evicted from their housing accommodation within the company premises Monday evening. The workers who had reached out to Camnet TV alleged to have been fired without any reason. General Manager at the Lebanese-owned company which specializes in manufacturing snacks, Mr. Harrison Piri, however, at the time alleged that the four had been dismissed because they were employed on the basis of nepotism by their supervisor, who had also been dismissed. When Camnet TV reached out to Assistant Labour Commissioner at the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, Mr. Kaba Sochola, over the matter, the Assistant Labour Commissioner, who spoke off camera, stated that the matter was being investigated. The story, however, took a sad turn after the former workers, along with their families, were evicted Monday evening by the company, while the matter is still being investigated, leaving them stranded.
Brother Wanga Salenza, 25 years, 1% drum. Why 1% drum? Company Varike. Majapani ya kwelele kwao. Islam Zambi. Wavera. Why bafutisa Wanga?
My father has been working for this company for 25 years. Kudana company is over kusai to my father was there for this company. Suffered for this company and even never much return. This is what they have done in return. Kutupisha banja by force. My father was sick. Nasema sugar as a mucharu kujapaka nyama clinic was admitted. The moment he was healed, like my body recovered. Wanapwela to kwenda kwa mbosenzo mkampani manakanira atuipa suspension without a reason. What is the reason without the reason?
I'm very disappointed. I'm appealing to our president. Kanyama being a Kanyama, Kanyama is a Kanyama constituency. All these industries are in Kanyama. We want our MP, Mr. Chinkuli, to look on this matter. We want the Ministry of Labor to look on this matter.
Abana bagona panja. Sina kondwele ne bana kugona panja so yai. Uyu muntu asebenza 25 years. What's on a person drama kutenda kasakire nyumba. Muntu lukumupasa chabeolo kuti nawe takupasa madezi ya wangu mabenefit mampasa. Ora 3 months it is ulamulo ni 3 months muntu akasakire nyumba kaina bana bake.
An attempt to get a comment from the general manager, Mr. Harrison Piri, took a sour turn as he became aggressive towards journalists after allowing them into the premises. Mr. Piri locked two Camnet TV journalists, namely Blessings Chakwila and Zipporah Mushala, in his office after seeking to get a response from the company on the matter.
So are you locking the door on us? Like,
I can lock it.
But why? Why would you do that?
Wait for it.
He further attempted to destroy evidence of his harassment by trying to confiscate the camera.
What do you think I'm doing?
Yes,
You're not me. I'm not going to capture the camera. You're not going to
I said you want to talk to me.
But don't touch the camera.
Meanwhile, Democratic Party DP President Mr. Harry Kalaba says the United Party for National Development UPND administration should ensure that citizens are protected despite welcoming investors.
People can be told not to have holidays. People can be told even on holidays they're supposed to be working. There's a lot that is not happening, right? And the so-called New Dawn government is just watching. They're watching. The only thing I saw was that when they won elections, they called all these so-called investors. They were there at Pamozi, celebrating with them. When they were fundraising money for their party, they called all these same people you call investors. They're the ones who are there contributing money to them. How can they reprimand them?
Camnet News will continue to monitor the matter to its conclusion. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Indeed, Camnet News will continue to monitor this matter until it reaches its logical conclusion. As I always say on the news desk, when the story is interesting, you need to follow it until it reaches the latter. People get to know. So, yeah, this is just one of those stories, one of those episodes in the series of this story. When we follow up again, we will bring you an update with regards to where those people that were evicted from their houses are and how they are coping with the harsh realities of not having a roof over their head.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting story, and we'll continue to follow it up, as you say, Sharon. But it just reminds us as a country that there's more we need to do when it comes to people understanding labor laws, because that's the only way we're going to guarantee in terms of addressing their plight. They face a lot of challenges as workers, especially workers who are working in these industries.
Yes.
Because sometimes you do not understand, you are not familiar with the labor laws, what your employer is entitled to and what you are entitled to as an employee. So those challenges tend to bring employer-employee attention. Conflict. So those are things we need to be focusing on, because at the end of the day, we need to ensure that the work environment is conducive to steer productivity at a national level, because a toxic work environment, Sharon, is not ideal for productivity, because workers are usually stifled and their creativity becomes limited.
Exactly.
And their plans, like in this case, their plans are being shattered at a time when they do not expect it. So we need to ensure that we also look into aspect of social protection interventions for workers, because that is a sure way of ensuring that the workers are safeguarded in the wake of such incidences where they're evicted in the house. What is your safety net? While you were working for 25 years, did you have an initiative to have your own house, or was it a conservative arrangement where it is just a hand-to-mouth arrangement?
Exactly.
So those are things that we need to really take seriously as a country, ensure that people are braced with the labor laws.
Indeed,
as we develop, because I know you as a country, you can't be going down, because we're just anticipating development each and every year that comes.
Exactly. I think the key thing here is understanding the labor laws, because honestly, you can't work for somebody for 25 years without actually understanding what you need to do. Is it a pensionable job? Is it, you know, what sort of agreement is it? If I'm fired in the next 3-4 years, you know, what is in it for me? You know, all those things need to be tabulated while you're working for organizations. You just don't work simply because you've been given accommodation, you know. So all those things really, they border on laws that govern both the employer and the employee, because we might just be talking about the employee complaining. We don't know what they agreed at first. So however, that's the more reason why Zipporah, who was reporting this story, wanted to find out from the company, you know, representatives, okay,
what are the agreements?
What is the agreement? Maybe you're just being accused. But then, as usual, the fourth estate being deemed as the evil one here, but we're just trying to be the middleman as usual.
Yeah, however, and I really want to praise those two journalists for being brave. You know, some stories are not just gotten like A, B, C, D.
No.
You know, you have to engage. You know, at the end of the day, they didn't want someone to come out to say, why didn't you get our views? These workers are lying. Why didn't you get our views? And when you are provided a platform, you just have to respond. If it is no, it is no. If you have something to issue to the matter, you have to issue, because at the end of the day, we carry opinions of everyone. Because for us as Camnet TV, Sharon, ours is just an objective perspective, and we do not take sides, and we just make sure that we tell stories as they are. No addition, subtraction, and that's what we do best.
Indeed, Patrick, we've come to the end of our breakfast show this morning, and we've been talking to the Operation Young Vote in a 6-episode series that we'll be having with them. So we will have them again next week on Wednesday and Thursday for a 30-minute interview to talk about an initiative that they are starting to roll out in selected parts of the country, with regards to following up duty bearers and how they are ensuring that their campaign promises are brought to reality. So yeah, we'll be talking on those issues again next week on Wednesday and Thursday. We also zoomed into some of the stories, as well as the health corner, which was focused on kidney and its related diseases. From me, Sharon Kalimbola, and Patrick Soko, it's bye-bye. Join us again tomorrow. Good morning.
Morning.